Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Ever born in Radha Krishna Hare Krishna everyone. So please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we'll continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita Chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute. So we completed up to verse number 15. So first section was about knowing about Krishna by hearing from verse 1 to 3, and then 4 to 12. We heard about knowing Krishna's material and spiritual energies. Very, very nice, important section, which helps us to see Krishna everywhere. And then 13th and 14th, Krishna controls the modes, so we should surrender to Krishna. That Devi Eshi Gunamai Mamaya Duratya. So then now 15 to 19, the impious, they never surrender. So we discussed that verse number 15, the 4 type of people who can not surrender, but the pious people do. So like in 14th verse, Krishna said, surrender to me, right? It's very difficult to overcome the material energy, but once one surrender to Krishna, then they can overcome that material energy. So then this question can arise, okay, then why can't people surrender if that is so important and if that is the solution? So then we heard that Krishna spoke in verse number 15 that people cannot surrender if surrender can award freedom, right? In verse number 14, we heard that surrender to Krishna can free us from the entanglement of Maya. So then if that surrender can give us that freedom, then why doesn't everyone surrender, right? Even the learned ones, especially the learned ones. So in 15th verse, Krishna spoke about those 4 type of people. So I was just, so there was a lot of discussion about that. What are those 4 categories of people? So different acharyas, actually for them, according to the time they wrote their commentaries. So these like 4 type of people, the Mudhas and Naradhamas and Maya Tagyana and the Asuram Bhavam Ashrita, they put different people in these categories, right? And Srila Prabhupada does that in a different way. It's not like, one acharya is saying that, one acharya is saying that, but based on the type of people were there at that time when they were writing commentaries, according to that, they give different categories to different people, they put them in, right? So now in verse number 16, we will hear the people who surrender, the 4 type of people who surrender to Krishna. And I think all of us will find that kind of reason in one of those 4 reasons to come to Krishna consciousness. So let us begin verse number 16. You all can see my screen, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, so someone wants to read.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mataji. 16, right, Mataji? Yes.
16. Chaturvida bhajante.
Chaturvida bhajante ma jana sukritir no arjuna arto jigyasu ratharthi gyani cha bharat sarva. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kind of pious men being to render devotional service unto me: the distress and desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Unlike the miscreants, these are adherent of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritinaha, or those who are obey the rules and regulation of scriptures, the moral and social law, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotee because they have some aspiration or to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotional thus: Anyavilasita sunyam janana
ज्ञान कर्मादि
karmadhe anavritam anukulena krishnanu
शीलनम
Lanam Bhaktir Uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain, throughout fruitic activities or
philosophical speculation.
That is called pure devotional service. When these four kind of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotee. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their life are selfless, irregular, and without a spiritual goal. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at the time associate with pure devotees and become in their distress devotee of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes went to learn of God, and they come to Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcends knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma, and come to the personal connection of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distress, the inquisitive and seeker of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material distress, and when they
material
desires, and when they fully understand that material renunciation has nothing remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. And as long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotee in transcendental service to the Lord are tended with the fruitive activities, the search for mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Hari Bol.
You want to say something?
No, Mataji, you go ahead.
Or somebody else would like to share something. I mean, I can keep speaking too much, but if somebody else wants to say something. Someone else want to say something?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I mean,
Yeah.
here it's again mentioned as in the verse 15, they mentioned who don't go to God, who don't surrender to God. But here it's mentioned about the people who surrender to God. And then again, the Krishna is classified into 4 categories. People go to God when they have difficulties or distress. They want wealth. They are curious, or they are they are searching for the absolute truth. And Prabhupada in this purport is telling that all these 4 classes of men, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, they transcend the modes of the material nature. They don't have the fruitive mentality in them, and then they become pure devotee. And then Prabhupada has also explained that the actual definition of pure devotional service is that we are only looking to please Krishna, without any material profit or fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. Our only goal is pleasing Krishna without anything for ourselves. That is pure devotional service. So the essence, the emphasis is on saying, okay, we have to serve like Krishna without any ulterior motive. And if Krishna's mercy is there, we will come in contact with a pure devotee, and then our life will be successful.
Okay. Yeah. So basically the association is, even though we might go for a different motive to Krishna, even though these 4 type of people who go to Krishna, Chaturvida Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritino Arjuna. So what are these Sukritinas? Sukritina means, in the, like Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in here, unlike these adherent, these are the adherents of the regulative principles of scriptures. So they are Sukritina, who follow the scriptures, and those who obey the rules and regulations of the scripture. So at least, even though they may not be pure devotees, but still they are adherents of the scriptures. They follow the regulative principles. So the 4 types are distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching for the knowledge of the absolute truth. So are all of us kind of feel that when we came to Krishna consciousness in the beginning, we had some of these reasons? Yes or no?
Yes, Mataji. Yes,
Everybody had that reason, or somebody would say that they didn't have? Gayatri Mataji, you want to say something?
Yes. So, I mean, when in these 2 verses, I realized that we might, divide people into like rich and poor, healthy and unhealthy, wise and not so wise. But Krishna explains that he only divides people into the ones who follow scriptures, or like godly people, and the Krishnas. So that's God's division of the people. That's one thing which I wanted to say. And another thing, I think that he gives such gradations so that we can understand where we are, on which step of this ladder we are. That's another thing which I thought. And also in the scriptures we can have a lot of examples, like for example people who came to Krishna with different motives, like Gajendra, who had his motives, or Dhruva Maharaj, he also had some material motives.
Yeah.
And even this mother of Asuras, mother of Asuras, she bore the Marutas, right? She wanted to kill Indra. So she had evil motive, but through this service to God, it took this Ata. She was doing this.
Payovrata, I think, yeah.
So she took that, and she got purified. I mean, Krishna purified everyone who had those. Even Indra, he went to serve this. I forgot, Haditi or Aditi.
Diti.
So Indra went to serve her, and he also got purified through the
Yeah.
service to a devotee. So
Yes.
everyone has some little bit impure motives, but Krishna knows how to purify everyone.
Yeah, so it's really, really important, and meaning the examples are really great that Gayatri Mataji you are giving. So, and then there is a verse in Bhagavatam also that akama sarva kamova mokshika udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Even if we have material desire, so these four type of people, there is some desire there. It's not that they are desireless, right? Because the pure devotional service is the definition Srila Prabhupada is writing from Rupa Goswami. Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulena krishnanu bhakti ruttama. So basically the pure definition is that there is no aspiration for myself, but only thing is to please Krishna we are doing. So that is pure devotion. But here we are going for certain reason for ourselves. We are distressed, we are poor, we want money, and we are inquisitive. And again, he's going to say that best is the Jnani, because for the Jnani, there is the least selfish desire. In others, there is more selfish desire than in Jnanis. So, and the way Dhruv Maharaj got purified, it's so amazing, even though he went for a desire, but because he did not approach a demigod, but he approached Krishna, means Vishnu Tattva, that's why he got purified so quickly. So even if we have some desire, we should go to Krishna instead of Vishnu Tattva, instead of going to the demigods, because what will happen, demigods, because they are within this universe, which is going to, there is no freedom from death, old age and disease there, right? Even though our lifespan may be more, but it is not going to actually, it's not going to free us from the miseries of material life. We have to die there. But Vishnu Tattva, which is transcendental to the modes of material nature and which is not in this entangled in this material creation, that only can give us freedom. Like last time we heard in that Devi Eshi Gunamayi Maya Duratya, that verse, that only those whose hands are not tied with the ropes, only they can free us from the ropes that we have tied on our hands, right? The three modes of material nature. Yeah. So another thing, so what is the hope? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that what is the hope for miscreants in the previous verse? So when one can become a pure devotee is when one comes in association of a devotee. And it's really, really important. I was reading some writing of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There, this faith, which is actually the devotional services gradation of our what do you say, the 9 stages of devotional service is nothing but incremental faith, right? In the beginning we may have little faith, and then through sadhu sangha our faith increases, and it develops into prema. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes there that it is only that faith, we can develop faith only in the association of devotees, the kind of, like, to whomever we are associating, if their faith is strong, then our faith also can be strong. So that's very, very important. And without faith, we cannot actually grow in our spiritual life. So there is one lecture by Srila Prabhupada on this verse, in this section, actually 15 to 18. So I'll just read there. He is pious, he is distressed, and at the same time he is foolish because he does not know that God is with me, dwelling within my heart, the soul and the super soul, both of them sitting together, and God knows everything about me. So I do not need to pray to God to get me out of this distress. He knows everything. When you pray, ask for surrender to God, pray to glorify God, and know his greatness, but do not pray for selfish interest. For example, for food, a pure devotee does not pray to God for any personal interest. Even if he is distressed, he says, "Oh Lord, it is your kindness. You have put me in distress just to rectify me. I should have many more trials, but you are giving me few. This is your great mercy." That is his vision. A pure devotee is not disturbed. A person who is in Krishna consciousness does not care for all this material distress, insult, or honor, because he is aloof from it all. He knows very well that his designation, his honor, this honor or that insult pertains to my body, but I am not this body, because he believed in the immortality of the soul. Immortality of the soul. Socrates was condemned to death and he was asked to take hemlock. The judge asked Socrates, "How do you want to be put into the grave?" He replied, "First of all, you catch me." I really love this. "First of all, you catch me. Then you put me into the grave." One who is completely conversant with Krishna science knows very well, I am not this body. I am part and parcel of Krishna. My eternal relation is with Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so association with devotees, even though we might have desire, and for that reason we are surrendering. But in case of Dhruv Maharaj, he got the association of Narad Muni, right? Because of that, he got purified and like he followed his instruction. That is why he was able to, and his mother also, who was a devotee too, right? So, yeah. All right. So should we move on to the next verse, or somebody has something to add?
Just wanted to add, Mataji, just like you mentioned, the association for pure devotee. Even if you are miscreant, there is a chance that by coming and associating with a pure devotee, will be.
Yeah. Like Mrigari the hunter, he got association with Narad Muni, right?
Right.
And even who is that? Mara Ram, what's his name?
Will Valmiki.
Valmiki, yeah, that also, right? So actually there is such, and even when we see Srila Prabhupada, I mean, people were drug addicts and they were not able to controlled by the police or the government at all. And Srila Prabhupada, and even the police, they would bring these drug addicts, the people who were doing drugs and all, to him, to Srila Prabhupada, that only you can reform them, right? Yeah, so that is the power of a pure devotee, because Krishna empowers the pure devotees in that way, right?
Yes.
That's why they have that potency to transform others. And you know what to speak of, even actually Srila Prabhupada's association through his books can do so much wonder. What to speak of, somebody is in the personal presence of a devotee, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Gaye, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hai, right? So all the scriptures speak about the glories of devotee association, and one moment of devotee association can give us full perfection. And what is that perfection? It's not attaining wealth or something, but it is moving towards Krishna. There was a very nice sentence that Srila Prabhupada wrote in this purport, and somehow when you were reading, Kalpana, you were reading, I was inspired, and then I forgot what sentence was it. Okay, I'll see that later because I don't want to waste time.
Can I go ahead with 17? Mataji?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Tesam jnani nitya yukta ekhe bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi janino tyartam Jnanino tyartam aham sacha ma priyaha. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Ki Jai. Of these, one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him, and he is dear to me. Free from all contaminations of material desires, the distressed, the inquisitive, the penniless, and the seeker after supreme knowledge can all become pure devotees. But out of them, he who is in knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a really pure devotee of the Lord. And of four orders, the devotee who is in full knowledge and is at the same time engaged in devotional service is, the Lord says, the best. By searching after knowledge, one realizes that his self is different from his material body, and when further advanced, he comes to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. When one is fully purified, he realizes that his constitutional position is to be the eternal servant of God. So, by associate with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material amelioration, and the man in knowledge all become themselves pure. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the same time executing devotional service is very dear to the Lord. He who is situated in pure knowledge of the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of God is so protected in devotional service that material contamination cannot touch him.
Do you want to say something?
Mataji, so the purport, Prabhupada is saying that who is very dear to the God, who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service. He's the best. He's very close to the Lord. And also he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so protected in devotional service that material contamination can never touch him. That is very
So why Jnani is the best? Because he is Nitya Yukta, free from, so that is what Krishna is saying here, right? Nitya Yukta, because he is always engaged, he is free from material desires and he is serving Krishna constantly. And another is Eka Bhakti, right? Eka Bhakti. So meaning unmotivated devotion to only Krishna, not others. Other engage in others like the Artho, Artharthi and Jigyasu, they engage in devotion because Krishna is fulfilling their desires. So Krishna used the term Jnani to refer to one who has abandoned his pursuit of jnana and has turned to bhakti. Basically, not the speculative knowledge, but is turning to bhakti. Sorry, my something. And that jnani is that actually that Krishna is the object of love for that person because he has moved from that speculative knowledge to bhakti actually. Yeah, so that is what Krishna thinks. That is what kind of jnani Krishna is speaking about here. Yeah. And in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 3, Srila Prabhupada writes, without being elevated to the position of a jnani, one cannot stick to devotional service. A jnani has realized that he is spirit soul, and then Krishna is the Supreme Spirit. Therefore, he makes his relationship with Krishna and not with the body. So basically, it's the one. Actually, it's not the speculative kind of jnani, but who is understanding that he has a relationship with Krishna. His object of love is Krishna. Right? So that is why the Jnani is. So of course, like for us also, if we see, let's say somebody approaches us for certain reason, like, okay, because, okay, somebody did something to us because they wanted something in the return, right? Selfish, there is a selfish motive behind somebody doing something. And then there is another person who is selflessly just out of love giving us something or doing something for us. So we also feel the similar kind of more inclination to the person who is doing something selflessly. Yes? Does everybody agree? Oh, I think I want to actually we should do a exercise for ourselves. So all of us, none of us is new to Krishna consciousness in this group, I think. All of us have been practicing for some time now. And in the beginning, we must have come for any of these 4 reasons to Krishna consciousness. Is there anybody who think that they didn't come for this reason and they came only for serving Krishna? Please unmute and speak. If there is anybody who came to Krishna consciousness just to serve Krishna, not for any of these 4 reasons.
Mataji, for me, I want to know the truth. So there was no anything other than that. So as and when I learned the scriptures and I understand that Krishna is supreme, then my devotion, Mataji. But I didn't come, I was in search of truth, basically.
Okay, so basically kind of Jnani, Jigyasu kind of category, right?
Yeah, Mataji.
Yeah.
The 4th time that Krishna has said, right? Searching for the knowledge of the absolute.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what meaning those not Artha or Artharthi, but the other 2, Jigyasu and Jnani kind of, right? Okay, Mata?
Yeah, Mataji, that's right.
Yeah. And then now, do you think your intention shifted to that I want to serve Krishna? Did it shift or not? So that is what.
As and when I'm convinced with everything, then slowly the devotion started.
Yeah. So that is what happens, right? Because and how did that happen? Because of association with the devotee, right?
Yeah.
So the previous verse purport is perfectly applying. So means we should reflect back actually. What was the reason I came to Krishna consciousness, and now is it shifting to that towards a pure devotional service or not? I mean, we may not be pure, we may not be rendering pure devotional service, but our desire is that, right? That I just serve Krishna and please Krishna, right? So we should actually do that reflection for ourselves, everyone, including me, of course, first. Okay, so let's move on.
I just wanted to add something here. The last statement for 17 was, who is situated in pure knowledge of the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of God is so protected devotional service that material contamination cannot touch. So that reminds me of Prahlad Maharaj, that when he, Narasimhadev was very pleased with him, he asked for benediction, and he's not asking for any benedictions, but after Lord was able to convince him, he's asking that I should not have any material desires. That's like a pure devotee. He's just asking a benediction that not to have desires.
Yeah, and it's not, and sometimes devotee becomes proud. Okay, I am a devotee now, Maya cannot touch me. But we have example of Srila Prabhupada. Even though he is a pure devotee, he is not even actually just a devotee, but he's like kind of an incarnation or empowered special personality, Srila Prabhupada. Still, he prays to Krishna, always engage me in your service and please protect me from fall down, from Maya. So only then we can be protected, actually, even if we may have knowledge, but until we have that kind of humility and prayerful mood, we will fall down. And Prabhupada even asked the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, what were you praying for? And then they asked him, and then so one time what happened is they asked, Srila Prabhupada asked, okay, what is the difference between you and us? And devotees just gave different reasons. Oh, you are this and that and all that. But Srila Prabhupada said the only difference is that you can fall down and I cannot fall down. And then Srila Prabhupada was like, offering obeisances and offering prayers to the deities. Then his disciples asked him, Srila Prabhupada, what were you praying for? Because you can never fall down. What were you praying for? Then Srila Prabhupada said that I was praying to Krishna to always engage me in his service and please protect me from fall down and from Maya. So then they asked Prabhupada, you only said that you can never fall down, then why? So then Srila Prabhupada said, because I pray like that, that's why I will not fall down and you can.
Yes, Mother, it's very inspiring when I
just paraphrased. I don't remember the exact wordings, but this was something like that. All right, so should we move on to the next verse? Oh my God, time just runs so fast. 18th verse.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Udarah sarva ivete jnanitva atmeva me matam asitah sahi yuktatma mama evanutatmam gatim. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me the highest and most perfect goals. But it is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotees in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord because his only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without connecting or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68, the Lord says, Sadhavo Radayam Mahayam Sadhunam Radayam Tva Aham Mad Anyate Na Gnanati Naham Tebhyo Managa Api. The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the hearts of the devotees. The devotee does not know anything about anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotees. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Want to say something, Mataji?
Yes. So, like the last verse we said about the devotees who are in full knowledge, and here Srila Prabhupada explained the devotees who have less complete in knowledge, they are also dear to the Lord, because Lord says they all are magnanimous, because any purpose, if we go to the Lord, for any material benefit, if we go to the Lord, and the devotees are going to the Lord, so there is an exchange of affection, and when their material benefit is satisfied, they also advance in devotional service. Of course, the devotees who are in full knowledge, they are very, very dear to the Lord, because their only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So, and here Srila Prabhupada said, when they are pure, they are become a pure devotee. The devotees always think of Krishna, and even the Krishna is always think of the devotees, and there is a relations between the devotees, pure devotees and Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the main essence.
So then we can think of if a Jnani is so dear to Krishna, then what to speak of a Kevala Bhakta? Of a pure devotee? Kevala Bhakta means a pure devotee, right? And he is dearer. And in Bhagavatam, 11th canto, Krishna says to Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma nor Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the goddess of fortune, are indeed my own self, are as dear to me as you are, Uddhava. Without, and then in 9th chapter, 9th canto, this verse Srila Prabhupada is quoting. All of us know the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj, yes? So there, that Durvasa Muni, when the Sudarshan Chakra was chasing Durvasa Muni, he went to Lord Brahma, he went to Lord Shiva, and they all said, we cannot do anything. This Sudarshan Chakra belongs to Lord Vishnu. You have to go to Lord Vishnu. And then he goes to Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, then he speaks these verses. There are few more verses, very, very heart-touching verses, what Vishnu says to Durvasa Muni. That, I cannot do anything. I am purchased by my devotee. You go and ask them. If they say something, if they forgive you, then I will forgive you. Right? Yeah. So this verse is very, very beautiful that Srila Prabhupada has quoted from 9th canto. Huh?
What did you do?
What did who do? Durvasa? Okay. So Ambarish Maharaj, we know that Sharvanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. No, not that verse. That is Prahlad Maharaj. So we know that verse from 9th canto, where, like, an example, Ambarish Maharaj is a king, but he is dedicating his body, mind, and words, everything in service of the Lord. So there are a set of verses which describe with his hands he would clean the temple, and with his eyes he would have darshan of the deities, with his mind always meditating on the beautiful form of the Lord, with his ears always hearing the glories of the Lord, with his mouth always speaking the glories of the Lord, with his legs walking to the temple. Like that, each and every part of the body he would use to serve the Supreme Lord. And he was so dear that Vishnu had his Sudarshan Chakra for his protection in his kingdom. And so Durvasa Muni one time, and this Ambarish Maharaj, he took the Ekadashi Vrata, and it was time on Dwadashi to complete the fast. Then Durvasa Muni comes, and then Ambarish Maharaj tells him, okay, you go and take bath, and then with his so many disciples, and then we will break the fast together. We will complete the fast together. Durvasa Muni, he took so long in taking bath, and the time for completing the fast was passing away. So under the guidance of the Brahmanas, Ambarish Maharaj, he took few drops of Charna Amrit only. He didn't eat or anything. And Durvasa Muni, because he's a mystic, in the water, he came to know that Ambarish Maharaj has completed his fast, and he became angry. So then he comes out, and because mystics, they can do anything, right? So he took out a hair from his body, and then he threw a fiery demon. He called a fiery demon, and fiery demon he threw on Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj, because Sudarshan Chakra is there, right? And he's a pure devotee. Ambarish Maharaj didn't get afraid of that fiery demon at all. But his legs didn't move, his arms didn't move to protect him, but the Sudarshan Chakra moved. The Sudarshan Chakra actually killed the fiery demon and then started chasing Durvasa Muni. And Sudarshan Chakra, you know how it is, right? So much heat comes out of it. And Durvasa Muni is, just because he's a yogi, mystic yogi, he can fly, right? So he went to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva for his protection from the heat of Sudarshan Chakra. And they said, no, we cannot do anything. Then he goes to Vishnu, and Vishnu ji says, no, I am purchased by my devotee. Then Vishnu speaks one of this verse, and there are other 2-3 more verses that Vishnu speaks. They are in the same Canto 9, Chapter 4. So we should read those verses, and that describes that when one is fully engaged in the service of the Lord, how the Lord protects and how the Lord gets even purchased by his devotee actually. So the lesson is that we should never offend a devotee of the Lord. And on the other hand, Durvasa Muni is like that, and Umrish Maharaj is praying, oh my Lord, oh Sudarshan Chakra, if I ever have done some pious activity, give the result of that pious activity to Durvasa Muni and protect him. He offers beautiful prayers to Sudarshan Chakra actually. That is the heart of a devotee. So that is why Krishna cannot cannot forgive anyone who offends his devotee. So that is multiple lessons in this pastime, and one of that is that, and also how Krishna has so much love for his devotee, how he protects his devotee, right? So there are many more lessons, but just so what else I was saying about this verse? I think that's all.
Mataji, I want to add one thing. So you know that the pure devotees always, all their thoughts and minds and eyes are all the time on Krishna. But here in this verse that Prabhupada writes in the purport, we know that we might think, oh, okay, if the devotees are thinking about Krishna, we know about the devotees and who the Krishna is thinking about. So this verse, clears it up that Krishna is thinking about his devotees.
Krishna is thinking about his devotees, and there is a bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur also, right? Ebora Karuna Koro Vaishnav Gosai. In that, there is one stanza that comes, Tumara Hridaye Sada Govinda Visharam Govinda Kahena Mora Vaishnav Paran. Means devotee's heart is Krishna, and Krishna, Govinda is saying that my life is the Vaishnavas. Right? Similar. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji, for that. Okay, so it's 8:22. Let's see if we can do the next verse. 19. It is long, I think. Maybe we can read, and if we don't have time to discuss, then we can discuss next week. Someone wants to read?
I can read, Mataji.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bahunam janmante jnanam prapadyate vasudeva sarva iti sam mahatma sudulabha. Translation by Prabhupada. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Purport. The living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals, after many births, may actually become situated in pure and transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Krishna's mercy is everything, that he is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of the spiritual variegated, and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Shri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare. This verse is very nicely explained in the 3rd chapter, verses 14 and 15, in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Sahasra Sisya Purusha Sahasratpat Sabhumim Visvato Vritva Tyatishta Dasa Gulam Purusha Evadam Sarvam Yad Bhutam Chat Bhavyam Atmar Tatvas Sano Yad Ane Natir Rohati. Forgive me, not reading it. In the Chandogya Upanishad 15.1.15, it is said that Nave Vachona Chaksusmina Srotra Nina Mana Sati Akachate Prana Iti Evakchaste Pranohi Evaitani Sarvani Bhavanti. In the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. That is life. It is life which is the center of all activities. Similarly, Lord Vasudeva, or the personality of God, Lord Shri Krishna, is the prime entity of everything. In this body, there are powers of speaking, of seeing, of hearing, of mental activities, etc. But these are not important if not related to the Supreme Lord. And because Vasudeva is all pervading and everything is Vasudeva, the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 7.17 and 11.40. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhu. Want to say something?
So first of all, you said that it takes after a long time, after so many births, a person who is in knowledge surrenders unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And such a soul is very rare. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he says that ultimately we have to all the powers we have are given to us by Krishna, and if it's not used in Krishna's service, then it basically doesn't. I mean, there's no use. I mean, we are wasting it. All these powers we have got, but we have to use it in Krishna's service somehow or the other. And yeah, Mataji, that's all I have to say.
Okay, so just quickly, I am remembering I was reading something in Chaitanya Charitamrita for the previous verses actually. So very, very nicely, it's like Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, 22nd chapter. So there Krishna says, if one engages in so those are the actually Lord Chaitanya teaching Sanatana Goswami, and he's speaking about devotional services there. And then he quotes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is writing that Krishna says, if one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. Meaning we are wanting devotional service as well as material opulence. So Krishna thinks, so this fits in the example of Dhruv Maharaj. Material opulence is he wanted, right? So Krishna says he is very, very foolish. And then Krishna says, since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. When I read that, I really felt like, Krishna, you are so amazing. So from that, those verses, set of verses that we read, 14th, 15th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, we should really always do this reflection. Am I progressing? My reason to take up Krishna consciousness was whatever ABCD is, but is it moving towards serving Krishna selflessly for his pleasure or not? It's happening or not? What is my intention in doing these devotional services, right? So then this verse number 19 here, okay, how long has it taken a Jnani to attain that level of devotion, right? So it could be many births. So then so what does it mean that long time or many births? So it takes many births for a Sakama devotee to become a Jnani. So remember that verse that we read, that 7th chapter, 3rd verse, right? Manushanam sahasreshu kaschityati siddhai. And then I was telling about how Srila Prabhupada speaks about it. People don't know what is actually siddhi. So Sakama means I want some result. That fruity workers to become to Jnana platform, it takes long, many births, and then it takes many births for a Jnani to come to that understanding that Vasudev Sarvamiti. So everything is Vasudev, and then one surrenders. So that Jnani to come to that understanding is very. It takes time. Jnanvan mam prapadyate. So surrendering takes a long time for a Jnani. So yeah. So actually it's 8:31. So we can discuss this later. So let's end this live thing, Prabhu.